Well, hello to all English language teachers around the world. That's right, it's another edition of Featured Teachers brought to you by the American TESOL Institute and yours truly, your host, Fluency MC, also known as Jason Levine. And this is going to be a really great Featured Teachers because we have with us today Andrea Poyera, who is in a teacher in Argentina. And the great thing about her, I mean, the very unique thing about her, when I say she's a teacher in Argentina, there are teachers in Argentina, there are teachers in Mexico, in Russia, in Brazil, in Canada, in wherever, who, make it their mission to share materials and share other people's work around the world, despite the fact that they don't have a contract with a publisher or they're in some kind of lane where they're trying to, make all this money or make all this progress outside of the, everyday teaching experience. And that to me is incredibly special. And thanks to social media, people like Andrea have made a huge difference in, we're calling it sharing materials and planning events for English teachers. It's called sharing materials because that is Andrea's group, her brand. She has done this, as I was saying, in a way that is very grassroots, very much targeting teachers directly for continuing professional development. So it's very exciting to have her here with us because I want to pick her brain and talk to her about how she has built a community that has enriched the development, professional development of teachers around the world. Okay, well, here she is. Welcome, Andrea. How are you?
How are you? Thank you very much, Jason, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. You know that I follow you since a long time ago.
Yeah, and you know that I've been following you for a long time as well. So, as I said when I introduced you, and I want you to tell us obviously more about your professional profile, who you are, what you do. But I really feel a connection with you because when I got started doing what I do, I was never thinking about beyond the classroom until social media came along. And when social media came, YouTube and Facebook, I saw this opportunity to connect with teachers around the world and students around the world. And I watched you do the same thing. So, we do different things, but at the base, level, it's the same. It's the idea of, trying to connect with people without going through corporations or, very kind of mainstream ways. It's more like at the level of the individual teacher, and especially obviously in Argentina, I want to hear about that because you've done so many great things in your country. So if you could just start just telling us about yourself, maybe how you got started as a teacher, and then why did you decide to start connecting with other teachers and sharing everything you've been sharing?
Well, my name is Andrea Polera. My brand, Jerry Materials, appeared in 2013 when a teacher, my teacher, Maitu Xaviera, in a teacher training here in Argentina, suggested us to create a place in which where we all teachers could share materials, lesson plans, and to make our job easier. Like that, it appears my page and group at first. Then I also created a smaller group and paid for my own students, which is called Sharing Materials English Lessons. And I have always loved organizing events, but not as a business. But I am inspired by my mom and my dad. My dad was a producer. He had a radio, and well, he brought Queen to Argentina, and also Ricky Martin and many other great personalities. And on the other side, he was also a journalist. And well, on the other side, my mom has always worked with students at profesorado at art in an art school. So she's a theater teacher, and also she has been manager of rock music bands. So
wow.
And also she has worked with children with some difficulties, some different diversities, like neurodiversities. So well, I was born there. I was grown up that field. So well, that was my original inspiration for starting with these events, but mainly also that it was very difficult for me to attend conferences and webinars, because I was born in Mar del Plata. I used to live in Buenos Aires, but nowadays I lived in Bahía Blanca. So there are so many webinars and conferences. So in 2018, I started with this as a business. We were honored, our events were honored by with the recognition of cultural interest of by the municipality of General Pueyrredón, Mar del Plata. And well, we had some events there, on-site events there. And well, then I decided to deliver online workshops. Well, and there we invite, first of all, I choose the topics that I love, which are mainly related to teaching, to not traditional teaching, but what students really need to learn, to have a meaningful learning for themselves. So there are topics related with, for example, inclusion in the classroom, PBL, CLIL, music. You were with us for that. Yes, with a great webinar. And within our events, we have different segments. One segment is called Thank God It's Sharing Friday, because of course we are all on Fridays. And we invite personalities which are well known in our field of teaching. Mónica Rodríguez Salvo, Gustavo González, André Hedlund, you, Marcela Villan, Joaquín Leandafidil. There are lots that maybe I'm forgetting someone. And there is another segment which is called Sharing Across Nations. The idea here is most of them are free events, especially for the Teachers' Day, as a gift for all their hard work. And here we have people from UK, France, Italy, and from France. And well, the idea is to share different experiences as regards social emotional learning and what was happening at specific time in different places around the world. And also there is another segment which is called Sharing New Voices. And there are lots of teachers that are well known, and maybe there are experienced a lot, but they are not confident to deliver a webinar. So I encourage them to give a webinar, to deliver a webinar, to share what they know, to share their experiences. So that segment is for those teachers who are not confident enough, but well, fortunately I could encourage them to deliver those webinars.
Wow.
And well, there is another segment called Thank God It's Sharing Arts, which is especially related, yes, to arts and inclusion. And here, well, in this space, we have different kinds of webinars related to, for example, bullying, how to use drama in order to deal with, to fight against bullying, of course, and also different kind of workshops as related to arts and inclusion, especially. And well, and the last one that was created last year is Born to Inspire, which is the last event of the year. It is in November. And well, I was honored to have Stephen Krashen wrapping up our events. It was really amazing. We all teachers read about him, read his articles and books at Profesorado. And well, I really love him because he is so wise, so open-minded. He has a bookshelf, an empty bookshelf, because he considers that books shouldn't be sold. Shouldn't be sold. Everybody has to access to these materials for free. And well, that is the last event of the year. Well, I don't know if you would like me to continue talking.
Well, I wouldn't mind you continue to talk, but I have so many questions based on what you just said and following what you're doing. So if you don't mind, I'll ask questions, but I want to dig a bit deeper. I'll come back to what's the name of that series that Krashen was on? You said your latest.
Born to Inspire.
Born to Inspire. So we'll come back to that. Wow, there's so much I want to talk about, but I think the most important thing to me is what you're saying. Just before you talked about Born to Inspire and Krashen, the notion of helping teachers who are not necessarily comfortable in front of a camera or doing a webinar, how you can inspire them to get their work out there. Like, this is huge. And, when you're talking about your family, your dad is a producer, you are a producer, this is who you are. I mean, of course, you're a great teacher and, and everything else. So, but, people like you or me and others, we have the teaching skills, but we also have something, else I think that we can do to help bring more people who have great ideas and have, things to share, help them be more prepared to do so. And it's not just, I think very well, it's not just always a question of how comfortable people are doing something. It's also their time. It's also, everything else. It's like a teacher should not necessarily be someone who can do all these other things, right? So, it's like an actor shouldn't be the director, right? A musician should not be doing the sound and the lights, you know. It's like, that's the producer's job, you know. So it's amazing that you're doing that. And I'm not surprised that Crash and, you know, decided to work with you when you're talking about, his whole notion of like, let's make things available. It's not about making money off of people and you know, making it a business. You said you don't want to make it a business. I'm the same way, you know, and people like you, me, and Crash, and if we had decided to, you know, and still if we decided to, and I hope we don't, you know, go that route, we could probably make a lot more money. But what we would be missing is that, you know, direct connection with teachers, everyday teachers, what they're doing. And that is so enormously important, I know, to you and me and Krashen and others. So you know, I commend you so much for doing that. And I hope, I guess my first question is that something that you want to develop more? That idea of helping more teachers feel comfortable giving webinars, like being in that more producer role. Is that something you enjoy and you want to continue doing?
Yes, I spent lots of hours working on this because my passion is teaching, interpreting, and organizing events, besides from dancing and singing. But as
Yeah.
regards my job, I really enjoy preparing and organizing these events. I sent letters to the municipalities in order to ask for cultural interest, because they are really interesting. The topics we present are really interesting and useful for teachers. Not only for teachers, I also prepare organize events for translators and also for children, kind of within Thank God It's Children Friday Arts, different puppet shows also, and well, sessions, storytelling sessions. So I really enjoy this. Of course, it's not my income, because I really spent a lot of time, because, as you know, it's to first you have to get the information from the teachers, the signature for the certificates,
it's a lot of work
in order to promote the webinar, the speakers video to invite the audience, also to create the event on Eventbrite, to create the event on Facebook, to answer the emails, to answer the messages. I'm online all day long. And
I know you are.
long.
You absolutely, yeah. You are super dedicated. So you're doing that. It's difficult. Do you see, or do you hope /see in the future that being easier? Like you're putting in this work on the ground, and then maybe other people will help more, possibly. You know, there'll be sponsors, you know, this kind of thing. In other words, in the future, could you, and when I'm talking about this with you, I'm also thinking about me too, because I feel like we are sort of in the same area, as far as, you know, we want to help so many people, but we don't want to sacrifice like our integrity. We don't want to, you know, do things in a way that is not what we feel we want to put out there, and what we feel is needed to put out there. Do you feel that if you put in this kind of work now, that in the future there could be more support financially or from sponsors, other people? Because I feel that way. What about you? Are you hopeful?
Yes, can I name them?
Go ahead.
Not?
Absolutely.
I have some sponsors. Well, Andrea is one of my sponsors, but as everybody is on the same economic situation, what my sponsors provide me, Anglia, Sisigi Resources, Story Paul,
Shout out Story
my
Paul.
speakers, Yes, my speakers as well helped me last year a lot to pay what we have to pay for to have creation in our event. And in most cases, in all of the cases, I don't receive money, but I receive materials that I can make raffles for the teachers, and also some materials for my students to use with my students. So it is enough for me. Of course, it would be great if Macmillan or any other important Macmillan, British Council, any other important company could support me with money, so as to pay more money to the speakers. Of course, it would be great.
But I think it's entirely possible. I mean, it's a long road, you know. And when you talk about we talk about dates, you're talking about 2013. You're talking about 2018. Like in the scheme of things, like that's a very short window. Like, you know, when I look back, when my first video I put out on YouTube was 2011. You know, that's a long time in one sense. It's 10 years, it's 11 years. But when you look at it another way, it's very short as far as like if people, you know, it takes time to develop things like what I do and you do. So that's why, you know, I love your attitude. You're like, it would be great if Macmillan British Council, this is the same attitude I have, and it works. Like, you know, like you say, you have a sponsor. I've had people come in, and the best thing about it is not only, you know, you want to be independent, you want to, you know, like we were talking about, retain your integrity, but it's also the integrity of others that you work with, you know. So if somebody comes along and they want to help you in some way, and they're saying, hey, we trust you to, you know, bring these teachers in or whatever you want to talk about, you know, this is the key, as opposed to, you know, you going and, you know, please, can I work for you? And then suddenly they're telling you what to talk about. And people like you and me, I think it's so important to keep our ear to, you know, the streets, as it were, the classroom streets, like what's happening in the classroom, what are the everyday issues? And that's why, you know, you're doing what you're doing with, you know, task-based learning, with inclusion. Like, it's not because some company told you to do that. It's because you got that from all of this experience you have with other teachers. And I think it's better than for those big companies and organizations to notice you and want to help you and use you than the other way around. So it takes patience, and it takes, you know, I think a very strong degree of like, I don't want to make this a business, and paradoxically that could help make it a business, but the right type of business. if you know what I mean.
What we also included this year with other teacher, Patricia, is a segment called EduChats, where we interview personalities who are maybe not known in the field, but they are great personalities that are changing education to help students acquire enhanced quality education and promote lifelong learning. And well, the first interview we did was with Stephen Krashen as well. It is on YouTube. We really enjoyed. We were enchanted by his anecdotes, by his knowledge. And then we interviewed a teacher from Spain that was in Spanish, Maria Jose Amador, who is also so inspiring. That interview is going to be delivered tomorrow by YouTube. Yes, and well, and also we invited different teachers from America Latina, from Latin America, to share how they are implementing this new in Latin America, because this is not new. I was taught CLIL when I was at school. I went to a bilingual school, and I have already been taught with CLIL paradigm. But well, in America, in Latin America, it's not so easy to find teachers who can take that those paradigms into the classroom. Most of them, I don't know if most, but maybe some of them still teach in a traditional way, when this, without technology, without without materials that are really useful for the students.
Yeah, wow. So Andrea, like, what do you, for you, like, what is the most fulfilling thing about this work that you're doing? Like, what makes, you know, you're passionate about teaching, I'm passionate about teaching, but what is it about organizing events? What is it about sharing materials that really drives you?
Sharing. I think I love sharing everything I do. That is why I invite different teachers to also share what they know and they do. For example, if I create a project with on my own, I share it. If I create a project with some colleagues at school, or maybe in some teacher trainings, I ask permission, and I ask for permission to them also to share those projects. And I think that being recognized of, for what you do in a so large community, it's very important as well. For example, I was invited by the Nile TESOL president, coordinator, to deliver a webinar, and I told her I'm not prepared. And well, what I asked her was if I could invite my colleague to present our project, because well, I asked for permission when we create a project in groups to share the project in my community. And well, I have that permission, fortunately. So well, we are going to present our project with a friend, Micaela, next week for Nile TESOL, but just to present our project, not to deliver a webinar. And well, my motion is to share everything I can.
It's wonderful, and that's, you know, what motivated me also getting into being a teacher, but then a teacher trainer. It was less about like developing a teacher training business and more just, okay, how can I share what I'm doing because people seem to like it, teachers seem to like it, and then how can I connect with other like-minded teachers and get their work out there. But I have to ask you, when you said now TESOL contacted you, like, I'm not ready, that reminds me of what you're saying you're doing now. You're trying to help other teachers who feel, oh, I'm not ready, I can't do a webinar. So you mean you still are one of those teachers yourself who feels why? I mean, here you are, we're talking, you seem very comfortable. Like, what do you feel is you're still not comfortable enough with? What is it?
Maybe because I haven't got my degree yet in Argentina. I have to sit for 2 final exams next week.
Oh, next week, wow.
Yes, my intermediate degree and 3 more final exams to get the final degree. But well, I have a TESOL certificate from World TESOL Academy, but well, as I'm not a teacher yet in my country,
Yeah, I understand.
I consider it not ethic to deliver a webinar.
But what you're saying, it's like, you know, I get that like it's almost maybe just a symbolic thing. Like, okay, you don't have this degree, you don't have this title, you haven't entered through the gates into this world of what professional what level. Okay, that makes sense to me. That's a normal human feeling. At the same time, look at everything you have
I have
accomplished.
been teaching.
But
I
you have
have been
accomplished, right, and you've accomplished such a tremendous amount without having those degrees. So I think, you know, I don't know if you agree, but I feel like it's the best of both worlds. That's what you want. I mean, you know what you can do without these certain levels of degrees, but you also know that those levels, those doors, those gates are important. So you're doing both, and I think that's wonderful. And I hope and I imagine that when you have your degree and you feel in your country you are a teacher, this can just boost you even more, your confidence, so that you can just take what you're doing and just, you know, push it out there further and help more people.
I teach for Dirección Federal de Cultura y Educación, which is the legal organization here in my country since 2012, because I have
That's 10 years. Yeah.
Yes, 8 years. Yes, I have more than the 80% of my career, of my course of study. Sorry, not career. So I am able to teach at schools. In fact, I teach in primary schools and on secondary schools as well. But well, my degree is not there yet. So that is why
I understand.
I had to.
I understand. But what's so great and is that, you know, you haven't, you know, finished your degree, but that hasn't stopped you. And I think this is something that I hope will motivate other people, because, you know, it doesn't make sense for someone who has in-class, you know, experience like you've had to feel they can't get out there and do something at another level. So you're a great example to people, I feel, who, you know, because you know, almost anybody can identify with you if they're a classroom teacher. Like if they compare themselves with you, it's like, okay, she's like me, you know, she's just a passionate, dedicated teacher. But at the same time, even before she got the degree she's pursuing, she's organizing events, she's, you know, doing all this stuff on social media, she's reaching out to get support from different organizations to promote what she's doing, get sponsors. I mean, this is huge. This is huge. Do you feel, have you had an influence on other teachers in this way, not only to help them feel more comfortable presenting,
Yeah.
but maybe more comfortable starting a Facebook group or creating some kind of, you know, learning network with their students, with teachers? Can you tell us if you have?
Yeah, on that sense, I'm proud of myself because I received lots of messages from different teachers, and for example, a teacher who is American, but well, she's not a teacher. She is an American woman, and she wants to study more further. So they asked me everything. For example, how can I enroll to be a teacher? What do you suggest me? And some others tell me that I'm really an inspiration for them. So that is great. I think
so great.
that is, yes, the most important for my family, for me as a person at first, and then as a businesswoman. Yes, to be recognized and to receive those kinds of messages, it's really important. I'm a very emotional person, so that fulfilled me at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, you and I are similar again in this way. I mean, what keeps me going is those messages I get. Oh, you know, you've inspired me as a teacher. You've inspired me as a student. And as I said before, but it's worth repeating. Like, you know, I believe it's a long road. I believe that, you know, people like you and myself and others who are teachers but get out of the classroom to try to you know, bring more teachers in, help them in their careers with professional development, try to reach more students online through webinars, through videos, through different means. You know, there is that chance that, and I think it's a good chance. The more we work at this, the better our chance. The chance is that, you know, people will come along who want to, you know, support what we do because they believe in it, and then we have much more, you know, say in what will happen at that point. Because and it's not even about having, you know, more say. It's more that, you know, people see what we do and they want to do that, as opposed to, you know, could you come work for us, but you're going to have to change this or change that in order to, you know, make money for us or something. So I think, you know, it's great that you are saying it's about being a person first, your family first, teacher first. But it's not easy, you know, if it also means that, you know, you have to work as much as you do. You don't make as much money as you need to sometimes. Like, but I do believe it's a long road. I do believe you're doing the right things, and I will not be surprised. I'll just be very happy when that day comes where it's like, oh, you know, Macmillan wants to bring sharing materials into their, you know, family or whatever it is, because that's what I think. And if it doesn't happen, you know, hey, I still feel like you can grow. I can grow. Other people who are like-minded, we can still grow and make you know, progressive advancements in terms of the money we make, in terms of the you know, the impact we have. So hey, it's a no lose situation.
No, and I also believe that if we work on something that we really love, that's the most important for us. That's very important. Not everybody can work on what they like.
That's right.
So that should be very frustrating, in my opinion. So it doesn't matter if I don't have enough money, but to be invited to give lessons for a Polish school, for instance,
So
with
cool.
or yes, or for a company that has different companies that use their courses. I'm working for 2 companies now, so I think hard work is the way. Yes, I
Absolutely.
believe, or I am a hard worker.
Oh my goodness, you are. But it's that hard work and that it's the hard work and the sharing mentality that you keep coming back to, and it's in all of your work. Of all those different things you're doing with sharing materials, you know, there's so many different areas. Are there like 1 or 2 that you want to develop more, or do you want to spend as much time and give as much attention to each of the projects you're doing? Like, I guess I'm asking you in the future, like, what do you see you're going to focus more on in the sharing materials family? Because it's like a family of events and groups.
In my opinion, what the first idea for my pages and groups was to share, but not only links to useful materials, but projects created by the teachers themselves, and I can't reach that yet.
Okay.
I am one of the only ones that share projects. It's not so interactive. Now the group it's better, but maybe it can be better. I think that teachers don't share because they believe what they did, what they've done is not so good to share it. So I try to encourage teachers to share what they create, their own creations, their own projects. But well, up to now, there are not so many teachers sharing projects.
But this is very, very interesting because it reminds me of what you're saying about teachers who feel they're not ready for a webinar. It's like they're not ready to put their materials out. It's like they need more coaching or consulting, or I don't know. So I want to come back to that, but I want to make sure, is another factor possibly like Facebook algorithms and, you know, do people put stuff out and nobody sees it, or are they not putting it out? Because I think those are two separate things. So, you know.
No, what I think that I share what I consider interesting. For example, there is a teacher, I don't remember her name now, two teachers. One is Anne Robinson, and I can't remember the name of the other teacher, that they create really interesting materials because the students have to really think critically to solve that problem, or to speak, or to I share their work. Maybe they maybe in I think that some teachers do not want to bother you sharing their materials, but in my group they don't bother. Just the opposite. We need teachers sharing their projects, their ideas, their articles. That's the main idea of my group. So,
but is the issue is the issue that they're not sharing initially, or is the issue that they share but not enough people see it? You're saying the problem is they're not sharing.
They are not sharing. They just get what they need, maybe. They download, they get what they need, but it's not a community where they really share.
So how can that change? Because I don't think it's because they don't want ultimately to have other people use their materials and see their materials. Quite the opposite. Like they would. It's not that they don't want. I mean, that they don't. It's not that they don't want what they do to grow.
I don't know really. Maybe
I mean, if they don't, I mean, that's something else. If they think I created this and I am more comfortable using it just for me in my classroom with my students, then that's fine. But that the issue is, right, if it's something that, you know, not only can help other people, but that these teachers are open to sharing to help other people, but they're just not. So what's your feeling about that? This is very interesting.
In my opinion, they don't want to share, maybe. Or maybe not all teachers create their own materials. Because, for example, I accept if the company asked me to use a book. I have lots of books, but I don't use books with my students. None book, any book. Of course, I get the contents and the topics from the reference, from the European reference, and from some books which I consider important or useful. But I only use the contents, the vocabulary, the functions, the the grammar that I need to teach for a specific level, and then I leave the book there and I create everything on my own. But I use a lot of sites and apps on the internet, which are not my creation, of course, like WordWall, Live Worksheets, Listen a Minute, BBC 6-minute lesson, a lot of sites that are useful and where I can get a real material. I love using Realia, so I love using this kind of materials and dice and
story dice.
I always acting and performing what I say. I don't speak in Spanish when I teach. I try to act or to, well, this is or this. I'm always showing the students what I want to say. So I think that is the correct way to. I was taught like that. I had great teachers, professorado, my phonology teacher, my teaching practice teachers. I had great teachers. I have them now as well, who open our minds really, and in every subject I attended, most of them taught us to implement the what is really necessary for students to use the language, that also as regards varieties, that not RP is the only possible, and I love RP. I was taught with RP in a bilingual school, but that is my reality. But I explain my students that they have to get their own variety. They have to feel confident. It doesn't matter the variety they use, they choose. So I think that we have to change at first our mind. It was very difficult for me not to teach grammar at the beginning of the lesson, but I could finally change my mind. And well, I don't teach grammar. Just when the student needs it, I give them the rules, or
if they ask.
Yes.
Acquisition. Shout out to Stephen Krashen there for acquisition. Acquisition, input, and that's what I'm all about too. If you know what I do, it's all about relax, repeat, remember. Means relax, get the input. When you're relaxed, you'll remember. That's all Krashen. It's all all that. So yeah, you know,
I use a lot of materials of your creation. My students love them. My youngest student, my little children, my adults, they all love your videos, because I always find some for a specific age, and they love them. They really enjoy singing with me. They laugh a lot because I start rapping and I'm a disaster rapping. So they really love that. They really laugh. They encourage. They are encouraged and motivated to sing with me. And well, I put a cap and I start singing.
So cool.
Yes, they love that.
Good for you. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here as our featured teacher for the month of April. You inspire me, and I'll continue to follow you and work with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. You are really an inspiration for me as well, you know.
To everybody out there who's watching this webinar with Andrea and me for Featured Teachers, thank you so much. Thanks a million to American TESOL Institute for making featured teachers possible, for supporting this series. And so glad to be with you each month. We'll have another featured teacher next month. And yeah, take care, everybody. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Andrea. Bye, everybody.